Hey there, scholars. This is Mrs. Bowers here. Happy Monday to you. I want to spend just a few minutes doing some review of how to simplify fractions. So after you have done, adding or subtracting, multiplying or dividing of your fractions, you need to ask yourself, is my final answer in simplest form? You'll know when a fraction is in simplest form when the numerator and denominator have only the number 1 as a common factor. You've learned in 3rd grade what a factor is. Factors are the numbers that you multiply in order to get your product. So this is review from last week, and I'm happy that you have tuned in to refresh your memory for tonight's homework. So I have 2 examples here, and I'm going to walk you through how to find out what the simplest form of that fraction is. So let's start off with 24/30ths. I taught my students the best way to begin this work is to list all the factors of the numerator and the denominator. So I'm going to start off with 24. And all I'm going to do, scholars, I'm just going to write all the factors that I know I can multiply together to equal 24. And then I'll do the same work again for the number 30. Okay. So all the factors of 24 are as follows. I usually start with the number 1 and I work my way up from there. So I know that 1 times 24 equals 24. I know that 2 times 12 equals 24. I know 3 times 8 equals 24. And 4 times 6 equals 24 as well. Those are the factors that I know of 24. And I'll do the same work with the denominator, the number 30. I'm going to list all of the factors of 30. I like to start with the number 1 and work my way up from there. So 1 times 30 is 30. 2 times 15 is 30. 3 times 10 is 30. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. I just skip counted my 4s. I know that 4 is not a factor of 30. I do know that 5 times 6 is 30. And then opposite of that, 6 times 5 is 30 as well. But those are all the factors of 30. My next step is I'm going to look among both lists of factors for 24 and 30. And I want to find what number do they have in common that's the largest number, the greatest common factor. So obviously they both have a 1. There's both lists have a 2. There's also 3s. I see a 4, but no 4 here. I see a 5 here, but no 5 here. I see a 6 here, a 6 here. I see a 10, no 10, a 15, no 15, a 12 here, no 12. So the greatest common factor that I see is a 6. They both have the number 6 in common, and that's the highest number that both of these lists have in common with each other. I'm not done though. In order to turn my original fraction, 24/30ths, into its simplest form, I need to take the greatest common factor of 6 and divide it by the numerator and the denominator. So you need to get your division brains ready to go. Whatever I divide with my numerator, I have to divide with my denominator. What you're dividing here is the greatest common factor, which is 6. So I'll do 24 divided by 6 and 30 divided by 6. I know that 24 divided by 6 is just like saying 6 times blank equals 24. And I know that that answer is 4. Same thing with 30 divided by 6. Or you can think 6 times blank equals 30. I know the answer is 5. So 24/30ths in its simplest form is 4/5. I'm going to do this work again with my next example, 6/30ths. I am going to go a little bit quicker this time, but I am going to keep talking you through what I'm doing. So I need to know, is this fraction in its simplest form? How I'm going to do that is list all my factors of the numerator 6 and the denominator 30. So I have 6 and I have 30. I know 1 times 6, 2 times 3, 3 times 2. Those are the factors of 6. Next is my factors of 30. I know 1 times 30. Oh, and you know what? How convenient is that the factors are already here. So 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. I need to compare both of these lists now. I'm looking for the greatest common factor, the biggest number that these two lists have in common. 1, 1, check. 2, 2, okay. 3, 3, okay. 5, no. 6, yes. 10, no. 15, no. 30, no. Whoopsies, as I'm throwing markers around the room. I see that my greatest common factor is 6. That is the biggest number that both of these lists have in common of each other. Now that I know my greatest common factor, I'm going to divide my numerator and my denominator by the greatest common factor, which is 6. I know 6 divided by 6 is 1. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So 6/30 in simplest form is 1/5. So to recap, in order to change your fraction to the simplest form, step number 1, list all the factors of the numerator and denominator. Second step, look for the greatest common factor. Which number is in both of those lists that is the biggest or the largest higher of value number? And then we divide the numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor. All right, scholars, I hope this really helped, and have a great night. All right.